Welcome to Bear News. I'm Abigail Scrable.
And I'm Adam Burnett. Today we dive into stories from this past week here and around the world.
A powerful windstorm swept through Oklahoma last Friday. With dry conditions, wildfires sparked across the state. More than 130 fires broke out across 44 counties, forcing evacuations. Some fires are still burning. At least 4 people have died and more than 140 others were injured. More than 400 homes and structures have been destroyed and at least 170,000 acres have been burned. The governor issued a state of emergency for 12 counties on Friday. Very dry, warm, and windy conditions made for extreme fire weather across Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas. Several large wildfires were still burning Friday night, according to the National Weather Service. While fires continue, no evacuation orders remain in place for Oklahoma, Texas, or Kansas. The governor said the state emergency alert system helped warn residents early, giving them enough time to evacuate. He added, unlike tornadoes, officials have more time to get people to safety, which helped prevent more loss of life. Though the damage left behind is extensive, the same storm system that brought strong winds to the plains also triggered tornadoes across the Midwest and South over the weekend.
Mike Waltz, J.D. Vance, Pete Hegsmith, and other Trump officials accidentally added the editor of The Atlantic to a Signal group chat where they discussed U.S. military operations. Reports claim that the encrypted chat may have revealed classified war plans and even the names of CIA agents. Some U.S. citizens say Waltz violated the Espionage Act, while lawyers for The Atlantic argue that officials should not be using the Signal app for sensitive government discussions. Trump and Hegsmith deny that any classified information was shared in the chat, but the incident has sparked outrage among lawmakers and national security experts. Despite the denials, Trump says his administration will launch an investigation into the group chat and how the editor was included.
Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency is pushing to take control of Social Security payments for elderly and disabled individuals. DOGE is seeking access to the master Social Security database, but officials have not disclosed how that information will be used. Musk claims his goal is to reduce fraud, suggesting that $700 billion in Social Security funds are paid out improperly, including to individuals over 100 years old. This raises concerns for those relying on Social Security checks, as new restrictions would prevent people from verifying their identities over the phone. Disabled and elderly individuals could face difficulty accessing their benefits. A federal judge temporarily blocked DOGE's access to Social Security records, citing privacy concerns. In response, the Social Security Administration announced plans to lay off over 7,000 employees and close regional offices. Since the announcements, service delays have increased, with some reports of extended wait times.
An executive signing was held last Thursday where President Trump signed an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. Completely closing down the department would require it to go through Congress, which the White House says they plan to greatly minimize the agency. The White House also says critical, like student loans, remain under the umbrella of DOE. This is just another part of a bigger plan to cut several Trump agencies that Trump claims to be unimportant. Trump also shared his idea of placing USPS under the Department of Commerce. Protesters have gathered to voice their concern for how this would affect rural areas, including accessibility and increase in price.
The IRS is making headlines just weeks before tax day, with reports of possible agreement with immigration enforcement. The IRS encourages undocumented immigrants to file taxes, promising to keep taxpayer information confidential. But if this rumored partnership with immigration officers moves forward, those privacy protections could be at risk.
Inevitably going to be encroaching on the taxes and the privacy of American citizens.
A source familiar with the situation said ICE could submit names and address of suspected undocumented immigrants to the IRS, which would then cross-reference tax records to verify information. With many taxpayers having common names like John Smith, there's concern that errors could lead to false arrests and wrongful detainments.
Mahmoud Khalil, a former Columbia University student, was detained by ICE this week on immigration fraud charges, who former President Trump has called a Hamas sympathizer without evidence, led pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia last year. Now he faces deportation amid what supporters call baseless immigration fraud accusations. Outrage grew after reports confirmed that Khalil is a legal permanent resident and married to a U.S. citizen.
He deserves to be home with his wife preparing for the arrival of his child. But let's put aside that for a moment. Mahmoud is also a resident of the United States of America, a legal permanent resident, and as such, he is protected by our Constitution and afforded the right to free speech and due process. If that is true, not about who he is, but about who we are, or at least who we're supposed to be, that makes what we are seeing happen right now in front of our eyes chilling.
Khalil has not received a trial and remains in ICE custody. His supporters argue that his political beliefs, which fall under First Amendment protection, should not affect his immigration status or the right to due process.
4 men faced 3 counts of murder after a deadly shooting at a New Mexico car show Friday night. A car show left 3 dead and 15 injured. The cause of the altercation remains unclear, but witnesses described a chaotic scene before the shooting, with cars doing donuts and people flashing guns out of windows.
An Oklahoma fire destroyed the Geary High School gym last Saturday. Among with several classrooms and the cafeteria, officials are still investigating the cause. But Geary superintendent states the school year will move forward as planned despite the damage.
Oklahoma City police are actively looking for an aggressor following an overnight brawl on Saturday.
Around midnight, a large group fight broke out at the OKC Event Center, where 47-year-old Tommy Benson was attacked. Benson was hit in the head with a chair and found unconscious. He was transported to a hospital where he later died from his injuries.
The organizers of the event also took to social media to offer their condolences. Police are still looking for the people involved, but have not released any further details.
After 42 years, one man has now been convicted for the 1982 murder of 14-year-old Californian girl. Deanna Lynn Johnson went to a party in her hometown of Vacaville and never returned home. Authorities found her body on train tracks, appearing beaten and strangled. Johnson's childhood friend, Mary Brochers, never gave up on finding the person responsible for her death. Despite the case going cold, Marvin Markle was named a suspect back in 2017. He was put on trial for Johnson's murder and found guilty last Thursday.
Don't ever give up hope. 42 years later, here we are. We have justice.
Although delayed, Johnson's life is remembered 40 years later, finally with justice.
Social media influencers Andrew and Tristan Tate were arrested Monday in Romania. This is their second arrest as a pair. The brothers returned to Romania from the U.S. for a police check amidst an ongoing investigation into human trafficking and rape allegations. Tate says he's complying with police and welcome to investigations.
I'm a free person who has not been convicted of anything, just the same as you are or anyone else here, so I can take a holiday anywhere I want.
Despite the investigation, the Tate brothers continue to deny all allegations, saying they will cooperate with authorities as the case moves forward. Joining us for sports is Bear News' very own Tyler Ledford.
Thanks, Abigail. The Normal Bears brought the heat against Dell City on Monday, shutting out the Eagles with a huge 15-0 win. But they weren't done yet. The Bears hit the road for a rematch the next day, and they didn't just win it, they dominated, taking down Dell City 24-2. Sooner baseball came back after an injury in the second inning where senior catcher Scott Mudler left the game. OU took on Mississippi State, ending in a 13-11 win Saturday and a 7-3 victory on Sunday. Sooner fans had a huge impact on the weekend series outcome for the first SEC opponent at home this season, with over 3,000 fans at each game over the weekend. The Sooners are now 15-1 at home. The Sooners head to Tuscaloosa to face the Crimson Tide. Thank you for watching. I'm Tyler Ledford.
And I'm Abigail Scrable, signing off.